and out the back end of it and into this parking structure across the street.
A young firefighter in Oklahoma City describing the scene that has made Americans everywhere realize how vulnerable they really are. But tonight, amid new hopes of catching the people who did this, there are nagging questions as well. Questions are who did it and why, and how many more victims have yet to be found.
The Justice Department says it does have a number of good solid leads, but still no concrete answers. Now here is what we do know at this hour. The death count has risen to 52, but those are only the bodies that have been removed from the Oklahoma City Federal Building. Search crews confirm that there are more inside. More than 400 people have been treated at area hospitals for injuries ranging in severity. There is little hope now of finding more survivors inside. However, there is some positive news in all of this. More than 700 people have called authorities to say that they were in the building at the time of the blast, and they are fine.
Meantime, in Oklahoma City tonight, the search continues for clues and for victims, and we can tell you now that they are finding both. For a time, new cracks in the bombed-out building led to new fears about sending rescue workers back inside. But back they went eventually, looking for the same kind of miracle that led them to a young girl found alive hours after the blast.
She was under just a mass of concrete block, rubble, twisted metal, conduit beams.
Workers shored up shattered columns by wrapping them in steel and filling them with concrete, the same technique they use in California after earthquakes. But outside the rubble, things were happening as well.
The government is offering a reward of up to $2 million for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the bombing in Oklahoma City.
Arrest warrants have been issued now for 2 white men, one with a medium build and a crew cut, the other build about the same with a tattoo on his left arm. The FBI has linked them to a rented truck that hauled the bomb to the federal building. A third man, described as a possible witness, has now returned to the U.S. from London. He is a Jordanian American who wound up in England after missing a flight to Rome, a flight that ultimately would have taken him to the Middle East. Italian police searched the luggage that arrived there without him and found what they described as possible bomb-making tools. He has not yet been charged, and again, he is a possible witness. Meantime, security at 8,000 federal buildings has been beefed up, and federal workers are wondering how safe they really are.
We've got to be a little bit more aware of what goes underneath our buildings and what goes in front of our buildings.
But there is one building right now that fire rescue crews from all over the country are concentrating on.
We've got rescue teams from Oklahoma City, the Phoenix Fire Department, the Sacramento, California Fire Department. We've got other search and rescue teams en route here from New York City, from Virginia Beach, Virginia. We've got others on standby that have offered their services. And so, again, the American people are rallying around us, and we appreciate that.
At this hour, the FBI is looking for any lead it can find that will lead it to these 2 suspects, and they've got a phone line set up to help. The number is 1-800-905-1514. And these 2 guys could be anywhere, so the FBI wants you to keep this number handy. Again, the number, 1-800-905-1514.
The grim and dangerous work of recovering bodies in a building that is terribly unstable continues right now in Oklahoma City. Newscenter 8's Martin Savage has been there all day long and joins us now with the latest.
Here in Oklahoma City tonight, the search goes on at this hour to try and find more victims. And there is some hope, although it is fading hope, that they may still find someone alive inside of the federal building there. Throughout the evening hours, we've been watching as they have been bringing in a lot of rope, a lot of mountain climbing equipment, sort of rope that you would be using to climb a sheer face of a rock outcrop. But instead, they're going to be using it to climb inside of the building. I talked to Oklahoma Governor Frank Keating this evening, and he tells me that they have everything they need now in place, gathered around the building site here, and work is going to continue round the clock searching for the victims. He also told me that emergency crews have been able to search about 75% of the remains of the building that are still standing. They have not been able to tackle moving any of the collapsed or pancake sections, which is where many of the victims are feared to be right now.
The most important thing right now is to continue to peel that building apart to find survivors.
The governor also tells us that there have been no signs of life. The search for those still possibly alive is a job that has gone to volunteers, and volunteers have been coming here from as far away as New York City to offer their help. We, of course, flew in with the 3 Cleveland area paramedics from Lyndhurst. That would be Dan Isaac, Mike Carroll, and David Young. They arrived to try and lend a hand, even if when they arrived, they weren't certain what that hand might be.
And everyone kept referring to the hospital as the command center. So we kind of thought, well, we'll go there and see what we can do. Because we can even, being paramedics, we can go right in the hospital and do vital signs if that's what it needs.
The Oklahoma City Red Cross says the response of people wanting to help has been overwhelming.
Yesterday alone, we had more than 1,000 volunteers. They lined our yard here. It was pouring down raining, and it was a real sight to see because they all stayed just waiting to hear how could they help.
But along with the volunteers, there have also been the specialists. Specialists like Surgeon Rick Nelson, who 24 hours ago crawled deep into the shattered building to help pull a 15-year-old girl from the rubble. She was so badly pinned inside, it was feared that she might need surgery to get her out.
You saw the rubble in front of the building. It'd just be like walking through that, except you're under there and you got a roof that's likely to collapse on you at some point. And I mean, it's the same kind of rubble y'all saw on the outside on the inside.
Meanwhile, this evening, for families who still wait, they have had to resort in some cases to handing out pictures and visiting hospitals. Have you seen him, is the simple question they ask. This man was in the credit union in the federal building at the time of the blast.
He went to work and he had to make a delivery to the daycare in the building at 9 o'clock, and then he was going to the credit union to make a deposit, and he never showed up for any of his other deliveries.
At home, his wife, 7 months pregnant, still waits for some word, as do hundreds of families here tonight, as do we all. I'll have more for you coming up later on in the broadcast. Now, back to you.
Marty will indeed join us again live from Oklahoma City in our extended coverage of the federal building bombing, coming up at 10:45.
We are frightened, we are angry, most of us, by what has happened in Oklahoma City. And because the blast looked like the kind of terrorism that we see in the Middle East, some people are now looking at Arab Americans with newfound suspicion. We asked our Janice Edwards to go into Cleveland's Arab community tonight. You were there. What did you find?
Well, Wilma and Dale, tonight I found that members of Cleveland's Arab American community share many of the same feelings the rest of us do. They are angry and want swift justice for those responsible, but at the same time, they are upset.
They've done it with all people. They've done it with Jews. They've done it with everything. And we seem to be the new boogeyman on the block. And I will not accept that.
Haider Aliwan and Fawaz Damra are leaders with the Islamic Center of Cleveland. They express concern tonight that their people are being unfairly singled out as being responsible for the terrorist attack in Oklahoma City.
Every time there's an incident and whatnot, they say it's Islamic extremists, Islamic fundamentalists, and Arabs. And all of a sudden, I feel like I'm almost just like the Second World War and what they did to the Japanese. And we want Americans to know that we are Americans also, and that we detest what went on.
And for our fellow citizens, Americans, we want them to understand Islam got nothing to do with what is going on in the Middle East. This is absolutely politics, people trying to get into some kind of position there. Islam absolutely does not acknowledge this kind of actions.
When you pull this kind of stunt, and 90% of your victims are little babies, you're nothing but a coward bastard.
As head of the Cleveland Arab American Businessmen's Association, Sam Kasem says he hopes the people responsible for the bomb blast in Oklahoma City are brought to swift justice, no matter what their heritage.
I hope and I pray to God that President Clinton, what he meant by dealing with those people swift, that maybe President Clinton should take a chapter from the Middle East law and beheaded those people, as far as I'm concerned, because they don't have any place in our society here. Regardless if they're Arab, black, white, Jews, they have no place in this society.
Now, tomorrow during their main prayer service at the new mosque in Parma, Muslims will call for a special prayer to be said for all the victims and their families, Wilma and Dale, in Oklahoma City.
And President Clinton said tonight that no American, none of us should jump to any sort of conclusion until they have these people in custody.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Janice. Well, yesterday's bombing in Oklahoma City has everyone just a little bit jittery tonight. A false alarm, for example, led to the evacuation of the VA hospital in Brecksville. A mail clerk noticed two suspicious-looking envelopes on his rounds. Now, both were addressed to the federal building and had unfamiliar names on the front. Neither had a return address or postage. The local police were summoned, and when a scan for metal turned up positive, the Summit County Bomb Squad was called in. Explosives experts x-rayed the packages and discovered audio tapes inside. Another bomb threat closed the Lake County courthouse for part of this day. This after a message was left on an employee's voicemail saying a device had been planted inside the courthouse. That bomb threat turned out to be a hoax. Authorities believe the caller was a disgruntled employee.
The bombing and the horrible pictures that we've seen on TV from Oklahoma have touched parents and children alike in our area. At the Copley Daycare Center in suburban Akron, parents said they couldn't help but think of their own kids as they watched the young victims being carried from the rubble.
It was disgusting. I was appalled that somebody would do that to little children. It makes me think of my kids, what I would do if something happened like that happened to my kids.
And it's hard to believe people want to intentionally take it out on little children like that. Maybe they did, I don't know. Maybe that's what they felt would anger the Americans the most.
The kids are very aware of what happened, and this morning they held hands, and those who wanted to offered a prayer for the other kids who died.
God, please let no other people die like that. Yeah, he is. So no more bombs would kill them.
But prayers aside, there is also fear, and many parents who take their children to the Federal Building Daycare Center in Cleveland are still afraid. The center's director, Teresa Moosberger, told us that many of them kept their kids home today. Moosberger said that more than a third of the 100 children who are normally here were absent.
Well, coming up next on Newscenter 8 at 10, some local fourth graders are taking an active role in the Oklahoma City recovery.
And we're going to have that. They understand what happened, and they want to help. Listen to this.
Children won't have their parents, and I felt bad because that's just not fair, and I don't know how a person can do that to kids and older people.
So, Barb, what kind of car are you driving now?
I just leased an Acura Legend.
Ouch. You don't want to test drive the Eagle Vision, then.
Why not? Come on.
No.
Come on, I just want to test drive it. Give it a go.
Okay. Don't say I didn't warn you now.
Okay, we'll be back.
Barbara's back in the Eagle Vision. How was it?
Oh, it reminds me of my Acura. It's great. Why didn't you want me to test drive it?
Probably the least price. I would guess she paid more.
Test drive a Vision at your Superstar Jeep and Eagle dealer.
This spring, murder! Pauly Shore is serving jury duty. And the American legal system may never recover. Jury Duty, rated PG-13, at theaters now.
Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are a dream team, raves Rolling Stone magazine.
You know, you drive almost slow enough to drive Miss Daisy.
Bad Boys is one great action comedy. Bad Boys, rated R, at theaters now.
I'm telling you, I really don't want to eat here again. We're on a budget, and everything costs extra.
Well, I'm starved, so we got a problem. We've got what you want. Come on in. At Ponderosa, you always get your money's worth. We bundle every meal with our all-you-can-eat Grand Buffet and Sundae Bar.
Right now, try our half-pound top sirloin steak dinner bundled with our Grand Buffet and Sundae Bar for one low price.
Boy, you really get a bundle at Ponderosa.
You save a bundle, too.
Ponderosa. It's time you got your money's worth.
If we only gave you a bed liner, you may not consider it a big deal until you consider it comes with a new GMC pickup, your choice of Sonoma or Sierra, regular or extended cab, all with a strength and durability that's only GMC truck. So when you think about all the things you can do in your truck and all the places you can go, that bed liner we gave you not only becomes a big deal, but a big value. So hurry, see your 5-star GMC truck dealer today.
You know, many of the victims of yesterday's bombing in Oklahoma City were children, so it really comes as no surprise that children here in Northeast Ohio were especially touched. And that's why when fourth grader Christina Canzoni saw what happened, she decided to get her best friend and her entire school involved. Newscenter 8's Ray Harris has more on this story.
It is these images that caught Christina Canzoni's attention, a fourth grader at Ledgeview Elementary in Macedonia.
I saw all these people full of blood and this building just totally wrecked, and I heard that 300 people are still in there. And then I called my mom, said it would really help if we donated blood. So first I thought of doing that, but then she said, you're too young. So she said, why don't you ask your principal if we can get money from the school.
With the permission of her principal, Christina decided to collect money and sell candy to help the victims in Oklahoma. Christina has called on her best friend and fellow students to help out.
Some moms and dads won't be able to see their kids because they might be dead, and some children won't have their parents. And I felt bad because that's just not fair, and I don't know how a person can do that to a kid. I just felt bad because if that would have happened to me, I would be crying every single day. So my mom just told me it would be nice if we did collect money.
Christina and Scarlett tell me they will be very busy over the next few weeks trying to get their donations together, all in an effort to bandage the wounds of the survivors and help the families who lost a loved one in what some call a vicious attack on innocent people.
You just want them to know that you care.
In Macedonia, Ray Harris, Newscenter 8 at 10.
Now, if you too would like to help the people of Oklahoma City, you can make a donation to the Red Cross Oklahoma City Relief Fund. The address is the American Red Cross,